I hope this video doesn't like hurt anyone's feelings or just cause even more problems in the species community, but fuck, I am so tired of all this species drama and like a misunderstanding of what a species is and just the fact that anyone will call anything a species. Now, so before I get further into the video, I should say what I think defines a species. So, like, what makes a species? Now, I think a species is any unique creature that has or did have multiple individuals with similarities between them. Robots, I don't really consider them a species, but at the same time, they're kind of something. You know, they aren't living beings, and thus they can't be considered technically a species because they're not really a living creature or anything. But they do have like types and models and just different forms that can be unique from one another. So they have like their own like weird subsection of just like there's different types of robots and kind of the way you would think there's multiple different kinds of species. And then there's people that will confuse a faction or a group for species. Now groups like soldiers, cults, different animals, those aren't really a species. They're just factions basically. Now I mentioned animals, but what I mean is like people will like create humans. And this is entirely possible to do in Ponytown. People have managed to find a way to create humans in Ponytown. That doesn't fall under a species. That's just a thing. It's just a group, I guess. I don't even know if you call it a group. That kind of doesn't even fit into the factions thing. But you get the idea of factions. Factions are stuff like the 10th Soldiers or the 123 or whatever, or the whatever the Star Wars one is, and stuff like that. So that's really what defines a species. So something else to add about the species. Now, a species, it has to look unique. It has to be different from what already exists. And that's really the fun challenge of making a species. That being said, you have to try even harder to do this in Ponytown where you have limited options and so many other species that you could, you know, hopefully not end up getting mistaken for. And it pains me to say this, it really does, but if you can't make your species look different from all the other stuff in Ponytown, like just, if you can't make it look different from like a normal unicorn or something, like you can't make it look different than this other species that already exists, or if you can't make it look unique, then you probably should keep that species off of Ponytown, or at the very least, rethink the species, because it's probably not a species. It probably doesn't. It probably can't be considered a species. There's plenty of species that are amazing, but just don't look right in Ponytown, and that's fine. I have some of those myself, you know. But it's important to realize you will always be able to draw the species and depict it better in other places, such as artwork or here or there, wherever. It's always going to be easier to depict them in other places. Ponytown, because of their limited thing, you know, you end up with a situation where like just don't do this. Just don't do this. Don't put a species that just looks like a unicorn in Ponytown on Ponytown. Just don't do that, because that's not a species. There's nothing unique there. Or at least don't do that and then get mad or upset when someone doesn't treat it like a species because it just doesn't look like one, and it's hard to consider it a species when it's basically just it looks exactly like a unicorn. It's hard to take it seriously as a species. Don't make a species that is so basic or so unimaginative or average looking that it's basically like a cat dog or a dogacorn or a horse and donkey / zebra unicorn hybrid thing. You know, I made those up on the spot, but I guarantee you that those species exist somewhere on Ponytown. And if this video get enough views and everything, there's a chance that one of them would see this and be like, "How dare you? My zebra corn is a totally legitimate species." And yeah, it's fair enough. Zebra corn is okay, but there's nothing unique about it. It's not really that imaginative. It's basically just a unicorn with stripes instead. You know, there's nothing really to say about a zebra corn or a donkey corn or a dogacorn, which I'm pretty sure a dogacorn is going to exist somewhere, right? Anyway, just do something different. If you're going to go to the hybrid mix, if you want to do the hybrid route, you know, you want to do I want to mix different species together to create something new, go insane with it. Go like mix a unicorn with like trees or clouds or some magic element or something like that. Mix them with something else instead of mixing them with like things that either are another animal or that already exists. You know, try to do something unique with it. Try to do something different, because if you don't, you're going to end up with a very normal OC that is hard to recognize as a species. Imagine, here's a good tip for you. If you make a species, if you want to make a species and you make it and you're designing it and everything like that, and you can't make another like OC of that species that looks unique enough but still similar, then you're probably not doing it right. You're probably not making a proper species. Now, if you try to make a species and you find that it looks like a unicorn, or it looks like a normal pony, or it looks too much like another species or something, then you're probably not doing it right. You got to do it in a way that makes it look unique and it stands out. If you can't see that character that you made, that species that you're trying to make in a crowd somewhere, then you probably didn't do as good a job as you could have done. Go back to the drawing board and try again. Just, it's totally fine. It's hard to make species. It's fine if you mess up and it ends up looking like something, but just go back to the drawing board and try and work on it more, you know, and don't be upset when someone looks at it and says, that doesn't look very original, or says something along the lines of like, that doesn't look like a species or something, because it probably doesn't if someone's telling you that. Obviously, if just one person is telling you that and literally everyone else is not saying that, then maybe they're wrong. Maybe they're just hating, but that's besides the point. Now, here's the thing. This kind of goes into the whole drama part of the whole thing, but people will make an OC based on your species without joining your Discord or whatever group that you have on some social media or wherever else. People are going to do that without joining your species. They're going to make a copy of your species, an OC of your species, just cause. It will happen, and it can be annoying. I will be honest with you, but don't threaten, attack, or harass those people. Don't like mess with them or anything like that, because you know, not all of them are doing it intentionally. Some of them may have just seen some random species and thought, oh, that's a really cool thing, I want to do something similar to that. Or they would have seen it was a species, not realize it was a closed species, because there's no way to kind of do that in Ponytown. There's no way to properly close a species in Ponytown because it's all right there. It's not like you can make a text post every single time you do something with one of these OCs to say, oh, it's a closed species, you got to talk to so-and-so. It's going to happen intentionally and unintentionally all the time. Now, the only problem I have is when someone else takes credit for the species, and someone else takes the credit for the species. That's when there's a problem. That's when we have a problem. So anyway, there's a lot of drama that can come from species making, so be prepared for it. Be very prepared for it, because if you make one, it's gonna happen. Now, my biggest problem, my absolute biggest problem, well, maybe not my biggest problem, but this comes like neck and neck with like species stealing. My biggest problem with species and the whole like drama that just comes with the territory of it is that they're very territorial. They're very, very territorial. Territorial. They all want that one spot. They all fight over spots. Now, so many species and factions especially factions, will fight over a spot on the map. They'll fight over a spot on the Ponytown map, and it's so annoying. Sometimes it's RP, you know, sometimes it's RP, but if someone kind of comes in late, or they didn't see the beginning of it, or it's not obvious it's RP, then someone else is going to try and come in there and stop the fighting, and then that's going to create a whole problem, and it's just overall going to make your species look really bad. Your group, your faction, your species, whatever it is, it's going to make you look bad if you try and fight over a spot, even if it's just for RP. If you want to do it for RP, try and do it in some form of party chat, or do it through whispers or something. Do it in some way that doesn't look bad for you. I mean, let's be honest, it looks bad even if you're doing it as RP and you're arguing and everything like that, but honestly, I've seen, you know, people actually not do it as RP and just straight up attack each other and fight and everything like that, threaten each other, stuff like that. It's really awful. Now, no one, absolutely no one, can claim a spot in Ponytown. That's just not a thing. That's not possible. You can't do that. That's not a thing you can do in Ponytown. It's never going to be a thing you can do in Ponytown, or at least I hope it's never a thing you can do in Ponytown. So either share that spot or move to a different spot if you get there second. If there's already a group, a faction, a species, whatever, hanging out in the spot that you like to hang out in, then just find a different spot, or just share it. Do one of those two things, because there's no use in fighting. So the very last thing I want to say is just follow the rules. This is something else that can be very annoying. I've never had this problem yet. Obviously, I have two different species, but I haven't had this problem yet. Just follow the rules. Now, every species has these rules on how to make an OC of the species, and they have these rules for a good reason. It's what defines the look of the species. It's how you discern that this is a tribal. This is how you discern that this is a TV head. This is how you discern that this is a care robo. This is how you discern this is a part of the 1, 2, 3. This is how you discern it's Order of the Ribbon or something like that. This is how you discern it's a Woolix or a Nexium, my species. This is how you discern it, because there's rules that define how the species ends up looking. That's why when you join a Discord or something like that, there's always that big list up there at the top where, oh, how to make the species, and it gives you a step-by-step. Follow those rules. They're there for a reason. It's what defines the species. If you don't follow those rules and try and do something different, it's not going to look like the species, and you're going to look like you're either a fake member of the species or you just randomly saw it one day and thought it looked cool, so you try to do your own version of it. And neither are good for the whole joining the species. That group is not going to like you that much if you're copying them, but doing it in a very awful way. If you're not following the rules, they're not going to consider you a member of the species. They're not going to consider you part of it. So just follow the rules. And this goes with factions as well, because factions have rules as well. Obviously, you have stuff like the 1, 2, 3 and everything like that. They all have a very defined look. And for good reason, because they all follow a similar pattern, a similar style. It's all the same because you have to put certain things in certain places for that species or that faction or group or whatever to count as that OC, as an OC of that species. So do these things and just please keep the drama out. It's insane. There's so much more I could talk about, and the whole damn thing is so annoying. It's been very, very frustrating the past like 2 weeks, where it seems like every other day someone else is talking about some kind of beef this species has with this species, or something happened in this species and everyone's talking about it because it's like a big mess or something, or, oh, this person stole my species or something like that. It's like every other day I hear about this, and it's honestly so annoying. To help combat some of this, I'm just gonna be honest with you. And this is something I've always wanted to be the case. My Nexium species and my Woolite species are just an open species. Literally anyone can make one. I just ask that you follow the rules on how to make one. If you want to see those rules, you can join the Discord. You can literally leave right after you make one. I honestly don't care. This is just an open species. Have fun making Nexiums and Woolixes. You probably don't know what a Woolix is because I haven't made a video on it yet, but it's another species that I made in addition to the Nexiums. So yeah, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, do those wonderful things, because when you do those wonderful things, you get access to wonderful content such as this. But that's not all you get. That's not all you get. You also get to become wonderful yourself, and I think we all want that. So do those wonderful things, and until next time, stay wonderful.